We're 1 week in, and Trump's already having a massive effect on the U.S. economy. And I think it's very interesting to watch how this is going to trickle through, change the business world that we're all participating in, and also fundamentally alter the economy. One of the big measures you see him doing is changing the way the federal government is steered, right? There's been many executive orders that have been issued, particularly around DEI, around federal employees coming back to work, shaking up federal agencies, taking some people out of roles, putting new people into roles, right? So that federal shakeup is going to have downstream effects. And we see corporate America already starting to follow that, right? As they've changed the trends, the corporate world has changed, right? Now, this does point to how powerful the president is, right? The private sector is largely lining up. And I'm not sure long term that that's a great thing, right? And a lot of people would say, hey, this is great that we're moving the needle. But the fact that the president can move the needle so much just by changing policy on what the private sector is doing really eliminates kind of that check and balance, right? The private sector, it's always thought, makes the campaign contribution, sets up the policy, picks the person, right? But we see here that whether that's true or not, that when the seesaw changes, that a lot of people change their tune, right? We see the private sector changing their tune. Now, as these federal workers either get laid off or get reassigned or get sent in to work at the office, that's going to also impact the private sector world, right? These people are either going to want to move out and perhaps get work from home jobs in the private sector, or a lot of private sector are going to start seeing these federal office buildings get reoccupied, people are going to be back, and they may be bringing jobs back to offices as well. So we're seeing that shift. That's to mention nothing of what's going on with immigration, right? We have a lot going on the immigration front. We got people getting moved out of the country here. This is going to start to have ripple effects as these jobs open up. Also going to have housing effects. I don't hear a lot of people talking about that side of it, right? Obviously, the people that are here that are now leaving, many of them are occupying homes or structures, right? Apartments, houses, whatever the case may be. At some point, that housing stock is going to reopen up. So for some people, this is going to be an opportunity, right? So a lot of costs and discussions around, people that are here that didn't have the proper visas, quote unquote, undocumented, didn't get the authorization to come in the country, came in and started working jobs, many of them, either under the table, not paying taxes, or, maybe they were paying taxes but weren't being pursued to leave. Well, they're having downstream effects on the economy. And so as that continues to change, we're going to see economic shifts there, right? So will Americans be willing to take these jobs? Are we going to have to open up new visas to get people into sectors like agriculture and manufacturing? A lot to be seen there, but I think there's something good about compliance, right? I always like the idea of having people that are following the rules that are going through the system, and I'm one to believe that it would probably be a good idea to have a merit-based system in the U.S. where we can actually look at who's coming in the country, what they can contribute, what their background is, are they a good fit for the jobs that Americans can't staff, etc., right? We could really put some control over this rather than just randomness of who shows up, who made it through. A few weeks ago, it was fascinating. I was watching and flipping around YouTube, and I found a whole channel where somebody was going around the U.S.-Mexico border and figuring out, where they might cross that and what the opportunities might be, right? The fact that this has become so prevalent and so commonplace that you could actually just have a channel where you're looking at potential weak points of the border where you might want to cross that, right? That tells me a lot about how far this came along. And, if you're staffing with people who are getting here through this means, you're getting randomness, right? You are not getting your pick of people, right? There are people around the world that many of them would probably like to come to America, would like the opportunity. If you have jobs and you're going to add to the tax base, I say, why not if we can do it well? But we want to be thinking, right? We want to be on the offensive and picking and choosing the right people to come here rather than getting a random scatter shot. So the downstream effects of Trump coming into the U.S. economy are just starting to be seen, right? We got tariffs potentially coming now. There's a lot of talk about potential tariffs kicking in. There's already talk about people reshoring businesses, bring them back to the U.S. to potentially avoid these tariffs. There are going to be some disruptions. I am sure some stuff's going to go unexpectedly up in cost. But I think perhaps this reshoring is going to drive the economy forward, create jobs, and maybe take away some of this malaise, take some expenses off the government for social support. Really could be a great opportunity. I would like to know what you think about the Trump economy, where we're heading. Is this good or bad? What do you think about the immigration situation? Drop me some comments below. Let me know. I'd love to join you in that conversation. If you have ideas for future videos, let me know. And check out our library of past videos and consider subscribing. I'll see you for another video soon.